He allegedly forged the date of the required test of tabulating machines to the lieutenant governor's office. A report of the state investigation last week specifies 30 issues with the county's handling of the 2023 election. Of course, no evidence the election wasn't properly certified.
No, that can't ever happen. The Utah Supreme Court says it is possible to be found not guilty of murder, but be guilty of other crimes in the same case. Why is this earth-shaking news?
I don't understand that either. You can still tamper with a witness and be found innocent of the primary charge.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the state's high court in early February upheld a ruling by the state's Court of Appeals in a case involving Elbert John Paul. Paul was found not guilty of murder by a Utah County jury, but the same jury found him guilty of obstructing justice in the second degree. Paul appealed the verdict, claiming the conviction was inconsistent with the not guilty of the murder verdict. The lower court affirmed the conviction verdict on appeal. Clouds today, wind down in the south 10 to 20 miles an hour. I can't say it. The seat's going to go all nuts over there. Rain and snow, a possibility in Cedar City today. Little no accumulation, which is always a worrying thing. Yes, for the mountains of winter, storm warning is in effect for 8 to 14 inches. Mid-40s for the high today here in this area. Lows tonight cooling to, let's call it the mid-20s. St. George area with a high today of about 58, and lows tonight cooling to the lower 40s. Right now, it's 39 out there at Caliente, 18 at Brian Head, 46 St. George, and we stay here at 37 degrees in Cedar City.
Hey, Cedar City is home to state champions, Dr. T.
Woohoo, I saw this.
Canyon View Falcons girls wrestling team ran away with the 3A state championship in competition at the Sevier Valley Center on Friday and Saturday of last week, besting the second place finisher Grantsville by more than 80 points. Canyon View's final point total, 311.5. Grantsville, the second place finisher, 229.0. Juab finished third, Union fourth, North Sanpete in fifth place. And congratulations to the Falcons girls wrestling team for a state championship. That follows up the Talons who won the state championship previously as well. So 2 state championships for the Falcons so far this year. That's sports.
Oh.
I am so excited for the rain and the snow. Like, let's just put it out there. I love that I woke up to rain. And the best part about rain in February, to me at least, right? And snow in February too, is that it comes in the evening, comes through the night, and is melted by the afternoon.
That's true. No, I'll give you that.
And
it's that time of year where it comes though. So
right. And it's the best weather to go out on a patio, grab a thick blanket, get a good cup of coffee, and have a book. Or hot chocolate or cider or whatever you like. But you really start seeing the season transition.
Now I want to go get some coffee.
I know, right?
Well, I can't.
But like, the other part of this really too is we're in a season transition in Southern Utah, right? We're starting to see things green up. And so we're coming out of our winter restful period into our sowing of seeds almost.
The problem that I see with this, we've seen it kind of happen on almost a yearly basis to some degree, is that sometimes nature gets faked out and we get things starting to go, and then we get another pretty significant freeze. So that does do something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mother Nature is a volatile.
Yeah.
You know.
So I while I like the fact that it's been pleasant for us. I worry that everything all of a sudden say, oh, it's go time, and then all of a sudden, in March we get another real big cold snap, and then it's.
Oh yes, well, and notoriously for the last almost 7 or 8 years, we have a Mother's Day storm that breaks branches and everything else. So,
Yeah.
but it really is.
Often. We had it once.
Well, I mean, we get snow around Mother's Day weekend still.
Yeah.
So what's really incredible too is as we take a step back and we kind of evaluate like the season transition and kind of what we're going through, whether it's real spring or fake spring, we're going into, I'm going to call it fake spring, but because we know snow and things are going to come, is our ability to control our reaction to what's happening. And with Jesse Poe from the Luckin Group at KW Realty,
Good morning,
he's on the air
everybody.
with us. And we've been talking about really deep topics when we've been on the air with Jesse, and really throughout the last 6 months, because we're really wanting to highlight good, deep conversations that we're always having. And we got talking about it. We haven't really addressed kind of the elephant in all of our topics, which is called emotional intelligence. And really going through that and why we're starting to talk about it a little bit more.
Well, I talk about it so much is because if I'm not intentional about the biggest one for me is self-awareness. If I'm not intentional about being self-aware, I'm falling into the trap of my own ego. That's just who I am.
Which is
how many times have you heard that? Maybe from your own self, out of your own mouth, but also other people. That's just who I am. Deal with it. But I often step back and go, yeah, but am I happy with the results I'm getting? A great example is our marriages, right? Am I happy with the feedback that I got coming back when I'm in my ego or when I'm in my stubbornness?
Well, and it's really interesting because like how our energy and when we show up for a relationship changes. Like if I want, I'm a pretty bullheaded person.
No.
That's a great example. That's a great example because if you don't choose to go, okay, wait a minute, you could run people over and not even know it.
100%. And in my different lives of being in the work industry, right? Like I've been a cook in kitchens, I've been a busser girl, I've been working one-on-one with customers, I've been doing analytical stuff. So like I only live in a spreadsheet and I don't have to talk to people. And then in my current life, I'm an insurance and a real estate representative. Mm-hmm. And in those different capacities, you kind of learn a lot about yourself. And then I started to learn a lot about myself and how I was showing up in my marriage or showing up with different clients. And the energy that I bring into the room, whether that's high strung or depressed, like it changes the entire thing. But my emotional intelligence to why I'm showing up like that in the different capacities has really highlighted where I can better myself to better my business and to better my relationship with my kids and my spouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and in slowing down enough to look at that, I would bet if I had $1 million, I'd bet it that you will be happier long term.
100%.
You'll be healthier long term. And hold on, I even dare say you'll be wealthier long term too.
Well, it goes back into like scarcity and abundance mindset. If I'm feeling trapped and defensive and bullish and all of these different things, I'm coming from a fight or flight mindset.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So I want to pull us back for a second and talk about the there's 4 corners to emotional intelligence. The first of which is self-awareness. Okay. And it says self-aware individuals are in tune with their emotions, behaviors, values, and motivations. This isn't to say that they don't have blind spots. They're human, like the rest of us. But people with high self-awareness tend to understand how their behavior, both positive and negative, impacts others. Self-aware individuals care about how they show up in relationships. They will seek to repair harm or reach a respectful impasse. If they sense that they have wronged someone or something feels off, like people with high self-management skills, they tend to have high self-leadership potential. They have, high leadership potential because they are self-motivated and value personal development.
And that's just one of the four.
To me, that's the biggest one, because without that, the others can't show up.
Well,
If I'm not
agreed.
self-aware, I'm not aware of how I'm showing up in social awareness. I'm not aware how I'm affecting other people, because I'm not looking at it.
Right. Well,
Without self-awareness, none of the others matter, in my opinion.
well, but then you go back to how you're showing up in a conversation, right? And that's social awareness, right? And you're not getting what you want out of this, whatever's going on. I can't get along with my spouse because they're not hearing me, but really going back to, okay, how did I present my opinion or this, or how was my energy in this interaction? Because it waterfalled into into social awareness.
A great example is oftentimes I'll get defensive or I'll get my feelings hurt. And if I can't stop in that moment and go, wait a minute, what's going on with me? I can't move forward with the discussion, because I get stuck in, and this is a big one in my life. In the past, I get stuck in and if I'm in shame, I'm almost crippled.
Well, and through that, that's where we can really dive down deep into our presence and how we are showing up, because we don't want to feel that anymore. It's not that we are unaware of it, but we work through those problems, or we figure out how I'm bringing things that don't even that aren't in the exact moment because of shame or because of history or because of different things in our life. Those captivate us and drag us back. But when we become aware of those feelings and aware of honoring that chapter in our life and moving past it, do we become enlightened to how we are into our own self-awareness, right?
Right.
Which can then change how we're interacting socially, which
which is number 2, right? Social awareness.
Right. Which, do you mind if I read it really quick?
No, go ahead.
So being socially aware, individuals are sensitive to the emotions, behaviors, and motivations of others. They are often great communicators and will pick up subtleties, like nonverbal facial or body language cues, mood changes too. These individuals may also be great perspective takers, teammates, and leaders because they understand group dynamics and give credit where it is due. Oftentimes when people understand this about me, they're a little bit hesitant, right? But I love being aware of what's going on in the room. And I love being able to read different people and with some accuracy, with a high degree of accuracy, I would say sometimes, is I can pick up what people are going through without them even telling me the full story. They could have a sentence of something going on with their spouse or something going on at their work life or something going on with their kids. And I'm like, but tell me more about that. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, no, something else is happening on a deeper level. Right. And I'm really good at, I'm going to say, guessing and assuming different things are going on in people's lives because I've been able to become more socially aware of different things going on. Because to some degree, I'm not a professional, but I would say I'm about 50% self-awareness, at this point in my life. Now, that's not 100% all the time, right?
And it's good. It's actually easier in certain circumstances, right? there are some areas in our life, unfortunately, most of the time, because we put so much energy out into the world and into work and into a lot of times our family gets what's left over, right? That we get home and they don't always get the best of us.
Absolutely.
Or even better yet, in our parents, child, sibling relationships, there's so much history that we almost can get trapped into our old selves, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely. Well, and going through that, that goes into nobody knows what's actually going through any of our brains at any one time except for us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can acknowledge what's happening, whether that's from past, experiences or traumas or relationships or interactions, until we become aware of those things, we can't move forward and be our best self for our family or for our workplace or for our extended family. We're not able to step above and aside from that. One thing that I've really been experiencing and been trying to be really attentive to lately is honoring my past lives or my childhood, because those people through those different chapters in my life were doing the best they knew how to do at that given time.
I think we've actually talked about this on the show, how there was a time in my life and quite recently, I feel like I'm finally letting go of it, that I was really in a lot of shame of my heritage and ran from anything my real biological father stood for, not realizing that in many ways, man, am I just like him. Like,
well, and
whoa.
I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we did. And until I could actually embrace that there's some phenomenal things that came because of his DNA in me, I could, it stifled my life, my whole life.
Well, and let's be really, let's let's just put this out there, right? Because I am a lot like my mother.
Right?
Right?
That's
like
the first time she's ever admitted that, by the way.
Right. First time ever admitted on live air, everywhere public, right? But
ever at all to me.
So, but I have a lot of parallels in my life, but I haven't really been able to honor that or acknowledge it until I honored and acknowledged that the things that happened in my childhood that are kind of core memories, I've only seen, let's take this to a Disney movie, right? Inside Out. I was never able to acknowledge the happy, sunshiny things because I was always living in the sadness of those things.
And I would dare say that if you actually sat down and did a true inventory list of the character traits that you brought from the past, the most valuable ones will come from the most devastating things you went through.
No, absolutely. But I have to step back and I have to honor what my parents did.
Right. In order to be able to notice that.
Right. Because they were in survival mode. They made the best decisions.
I would agree. I can see how that, yeah.
They made the best decisions they knew how to do because they were in survival mode. Yeah. And that's okay. And me being judgy and a total wrench about it isn't good, because it doesn't bring anything good into my life if I hold on to that negative emotion. But if
it only hurts you, and it brings negativity into your life, because whatever you're focused on will expand.
Right. So if I can honor and give grace and be like, they were doing the best they knew how, I'm taking this lesson from that and I'm moving forward, and I'm going to either pivot the way that I interact with my own children, right? Or the way that I interact with my spouse, or the way I interact with my community, right? Like, those, being able to go through those. And I'm sorry, we kind of got off topic. We didn't go through the other two things, but the other one is self-management and relationship management. This kind of all ties together, being emotionally intelligent, because as you become more self-aware and honoring the different trials or things that have gone through life, you know, you're being forged by the fire. And without that fire, you wouldn't be the person you are today. And you have to go through those, and you have to experience pain and loss and hardship, because and every side of that coin is love and abundance and prosperity. If you choose the side of the coin you want to live on. And so I choose to honor the other side because I know it has to exist. I know that I have to go through pain and hardship and the fire to get all of the good things that have happened in my life, because without any of that, I would not be half the person I am today. Right. And I am the person I am today because of those fires. And so stepping back and being emotionally intelligent about those things, you can live on an entirely new level of life in gratitude and abundance, because every interaction I have, whether personally or professionally, I have the choice to live and to step into the light that I was given to become the person that I'm supposed to become, to be more positive, to bring abundance to this world, because this world is full of negative people. If I choose to be positive and I to choose emotional intelligence and being aware.
Yeah. So I want to roll it back to what I was saying in the very beginning. This is so important to me, because I don't want to just be one of the statistics that the news feeds to, right? If I'm not really intentional and I'm not really careful, I'm as negative as the headlines.
Oh man.
None of us wake up bubbly. People think I do. Even your mom thinks I wake up in a phenomenal mood. But I wake up thinking all those weird negative thoughts that we all do. And I switch really fast. Because if I don't, then I'm just falling into the same trap that our headlines do, right? And we're all attracted to it. None of us look at or intentionally look at a love moment, but man, somebody died. Oh, who?
Right.
A robbery happened. Oh, wow. So this has got to be intentional for me, or I go right down the rabbit hole.
No, and that's where Wired Wednesday is taking us to the next level, because we really want to step into the light of positivity and being self-aware and emotionally intelligent, because as we go through that, we in turn create a better world and a better community and better interactions on personal and professional levels. Jesse, thank you so much for bringing this topic up. I'm so excited for our next topic here in a couple of weeks, because we're just going to be expanding. You know, it's going to be a year of expansion. We're going to go deeper and deeper. Thank you, Jesse, for joining us for Wired Wednesday. This has been your host, McKinnon Hansen, your local Farm Bureau Financial Services agent, and your local, the Larkin Group, the KW Realty agent, serving all of Southern Utah at 435-592-2021. And for those of you listening all over in Kane County, I also serve the northern parts of Arizona. So I'm licensed in Utah and Arizona for insurance, and just Utah for real estate. So we'd love to help you where we can. The market is definitely dynamic. So give us a call with real estate needs, or find us online for real estate needs at gotheatercity.com, or Google the Larkin Group. And for all your insurance needs, 435-592-2021. This has been McKinnon Hansen.
Thanks, guys. Over and out.